What is cybersecurity? Ethical hacking is actually the part when people that gather information. There's three ways of ethical hacking. Most of the part is that I need you to do something in order, I need you for opening an attachment or emails. It's literally the ability of abusing your, I would say, goodwill in order for me to do something bad. So what is social engineering? Social engineering is the possibility to infiltrate a company or a private person on a human level. Like everybody knows if somebody is nice towards you, makes you a compliment, or you know even the person, you're most likely willing to help. Companies that have the best firewalls, VPN, and the best IT equipment on site still are potential threats to ethical hacking, because you are actually have individuals in your company and you cannot put a firewall or an antivirus into somebody's head. Most of the time, individuals giving out information over the phone and not even aware that they're passing on information. This could be most of the time information like when you call somebody and they ask you for your password on the store, you will answer the same question, not knowing that you actually created the same password. So how can we make the whole thing more secure? Let me switch the view here. So how can we make it more secure? The first thing that you should do, we all now working remotely. So while we're working from home, there's a couple things that you can do. The first thing is you should have a VPN set up. Setting up a VPN means virtual private network. This is nothing else than actually, if your internet is here, your computer is here, you're shooting an encrypted tunnel through the internet to your destination. So there are different vendors like VPN Secure Line from Avast, or Microsoft has their own solution. There are different solutions with VPN, but it's not only installing a VPN, it's also configuring it correctly. If you're on a Mac, you can actually set up the VPN easily, but most of the people do not know that once you get into the Apple settings of your VPN connection, it says a checkbox, send all the traffic over this connections, which you by default don't do. So you want to send all the data over your VPN connection towards the goal. Otherwise, you're connected, but your data, if you're in a Starbucks or any other public Wi-Fi, will still be reachable by others. So then also people have oftentimes the mindset that, oh, I have a firewall, I'm protected, or my router has a firewall. But most of the people do not understand, what does a firewall actually do and what is the difference? If you have a software firewall, it can be the built-in firewall from a Microsoft computer. So years ago, the firewalls will be open and you can actually block whatever you want. Right now, the firewalls that you have built into your system, they are there, they're pre-configured, and they only get updates once you install a security update. But on the other hand, if you want to do something differently, you have to open or allow ports. But it's pretty much it. When you have a hardware firewall, which is, for example, let's say a Cisco device, which is cloud-based UTM, Unified Threat Management, if there would be a hacking attack, these firewalls going every other minute to the cloud and updating their signature and their information. So if somebody in a big corporation experience a hack and the IP address is registered, or the hacker attack, whatever the malware is registered, it shoots these information to the cloud, and then it distributes it to all the other firewalls. And you can actually monitor traffic, you can allow and disallow websites, you can see who does what is the restriction on the network that you can do. So a hardware firewall is also recommended for home usage right now, especially when you're working from home and using VPN. A lot of routers in the United States and also in Europe have built-in firewalls, which are great to a certain extent, but they're not updated. And a lot of people do not update their firmware on their routers or their firewalls. So also that being said, there's a lot of exploits. So you have to keep your hardware and your software up to date. A lot of computers, when we buy them, they come out of the box with a pre-installed security software. It doesn't matter if it's McAfee or whatever it is. And people download the free version of antivirus. And they think, oh, I have an antivirus, I'm protected. But what is the difference between a paid antivirus and a free antivirus? A free antivirus is a passive antivirus. It most of the time scans what is on your computer, and that's it. The paid version also connects to the cloud, like Avast Cloud Care, but it also does monitoring live. If you do something, it's behavioral based on your browser, or if you do banking, or you download stuff, or you get a spam email, it actually monitors live what you do, it scans live what you do. And it's the biggest advantage when you get an attachment in your email. A lot of times people get attachments like Word documents or PDF files from Microsoft, your bill, etc., but it's malware. Before you double click it, you can actually right click and say open in sandbox, which is an area that is secure. You can open it there, and if it's a virus, it will not do any harm to your computer. That's one part. And of course, it's subscription based, so you have to renew it every year, but you should keep it always running and keep it up to date. When it comes to Zoom meeting like we're having right now, probably last year was not that important. This year, obviously, it became super important. Why you should use Microsoft Teams over Zoom's, the Zoom free version, not the business version. As we all know, a lot of Zoom meetings have been crashed, and people that were not actually being there posted porn pictures, etc., in schools. So that's one part, that when you have a professional version, you generate access codes and you can only let people in. Plus, and that's the most important part, the meetings are encrypted. So whatever you do on these meetings, and if you have confidential information, you talk about the business deal, these information are being encrypted. So on the free version from Zoom, Zoom also said, A, we're selling your information, like customer information, and B, it's not encrypted. So whatever you do, it's not safe. Then the other part is, when we set up with my IT company hundreds of computers when COVID started, the corporate mindset was our company is safe, no people working from home. But it seemed like when company employees and even the owners left the company, they also left the security thinking at the office. So we have seen corporations that actually had Windows XP computers at home, and you're connecting a computer with an operation system from 2002 to a secure environment. And if your computer system has a virus or whatever it is, some harmful software on it, you actually dragging this into the company because it's still a part of the network. So the computer system should not use Windows 7 or Windows XP. It should be up to date, have an antivirus. Your IT guy from your company, or if you're a sole proprietor, you should make sure that your operation system has an antivirus. It's always up to date. The Windows has the latest patches. When you use Windows and you use Mac, obviously I always recommend not to install a patch right away. If patch day Wednesday comes out and there's a patch from Microsoft, wait 4, 5, 6 days before you install it, because sometimes they do have issues and something might not work. But it is a must to keep all your data up to date, all your operation systems, Windows, Mac, Office updates if you use Office 365, firewalls and antivirus, anti-spyware, etc. How to use security software and privacy browser mode. So most of the people know that when you right-click on your browser on a Mac or on a window, you can open a private browsing session, which actually means that whatever you do in the session will not be stored, and everything that has been done, let's say you do online banking with your bank and your login is saved, or the cache has some information that you can't log on, you're running into an error. So use actually a private browsing session, which is like you open a clean browser that has not been on the page before, which is also recommended when you do banking or any confidential logons that you do to your software or browser in any other places. I was asked a very valid question, which I appreciate. So thank you so much for asking this. The difference between HTTP and HTTPS, especially for Christmas shopping. So HTTP is an unencrypted site. S means secure, so it is encrypted. A lot of times when we go to websites, the new browser updates from Microsoft, from Chrome, from Firefox, from Safari, they're pop you like, the website is not safe, you want to continue, you want to create an exception. Why do you get this pop-up? The company who owns the website has to pay a certificate to their host. Let's say it's GoDaddy or whoever the T-Mobile, whoever the host is. That basically means the certificate verifies that the website is being checked and secure. And when you do Christmas shopping, I personally check who I buy merchandise from. There's a lot of good looking websites out there, but in Europe and in the US, a lot of countries require you to put your tax ID, your corporate information, your contact information there. If you look for something that looks amazing and is cheaper than everywhere else and a website looks trustworthy, check where is it from? Do you have corporate information? Can you Google the company? Can you contact the company? Because a lot of these pop-up websites, that's how we call them, they're actually Chinese sellers. You buy a merchandise, it looks original, like these Apple EarPods for like $30, which cost $2 in China. And then you buy the product breaks. Most of the time, these websites disappear after a certain amount of sales and you'll be left hanging and there's no support because whoever sold you the website does not have the intent to support you on these products. It's just generating money. The human being is the weakest part in the chain of security. What do I mean by that? We did a lot of hacking attempts for corporations where the owners ask us to social engineer companies. So I created a blueprint of the company, let's say ABC company, and my job was to get access to the company. And the real life scenario is very simple, how social engineering actually works. So my job was to gain access to this company. So I actually created a fake list of serial numbers from Microsoft. I had a shirt on like this one that says Microsoft. I called the corporation and says, "Hi, my name is Kai Krüger with Microsoft Licensing. Our system indicates that the license has been sold to your corporation. It might be fraudy and our system might shut down. Can I talk to your IT department?" So the secretary who picked up the phone, of course, said yes. And at this moment where social engineering started, I hang up the phone. The reason why I hang up the phone is not because I didn't want to talk to her. I made her think that we got disconnected. I did this 2 times and then I scheduled an appointment. The reason why I was hanging up is I created a bridge, an event between her and I, which actually means she remembers me much easier when I say, "Oh, we had this phone issue, you remember?" And so when I walked into their office, I was wearing a Microsoft shirt and I already looked legit and she remembered me. So now there's something, we call it the go-to person. So when she actually called her IT guy, I had an ID from Microsoft, which obviously was fake. And so we walked around with my fake list and I was making some, yeah, must be an error on our end. At this point, I walked around through the company with the IT guy and nobody would actually suspect that I'm not real. And at this point, nobody ever had the idea of calling Microsoft and asking if I'm the real person. And you would think that only happens like years ago. We did a test in Florida 2 weeks ago and it still works. So at this point, I said, "Oh, everything is okay on your side." I actually may have a mistake on our side. So I left. I walked back in and here's where the hack started now. I used 2 words on purpose. I said, "Hey, I forgot to check your computer. If you don't want to help me, do you mind to bother your boss again?" That's 2 negative things. Nobody wants to bother the boss and nobody is like, "Oh, I don't want to help you." So she said yes. So I was plugging in a memory stick into her computer. I uploaded a virus. I stole some information from her machine and I walked away. And at this point of time, she had no idea, but I've used her part of me helping or her helping me by using the right word and triggering her impulse to help. So that's extreme situation, but this is how social engineering works. It could be a person overhearing your conversation when you go to a phone store. The phone representative will ask you, "What is your phone number?" And most of the time in the United States, they ask you for your social security, or they will ask you about your password. People are creatures of habit. Most of them have easy passwords and they use them for everything. So once I have these information, I can literally go online and see if I have your phone number. And if it's the same password, I can log onto your web account. And if you don't have 2-step verification set up, I might even get in and I see your auto pay settings and everything else that you do. So how can we avoid things like this? Successful defense depends on good policies, hardware policies, building access policies, and of course, education of individuals. People change in corporations. They come and they go. So there should be a process that employees being trained, and even if it's a half an hour per week, to remind because we're all creatures of habit and we all forget. So the education is the most important part, because you cannot avoid it. You cannot avoid being hacked on a social level unless you educate. So what is computer-based social engineering? We all have seen email attachments, or your Microsoft account is limited. Please click on this link to log on, or here's your bank statement. These are a couple scenarios when you, very common right now is people watch because they're home, a lot of movies from, I don't know, 123 movie or whatever it is, and they get all these pop-ups, your flash is outdated, you have to update your flash. So people think they actually installing a plugin. So the plugin will make you look the video, but you don't even know who made this plugin, and you probably infected your browser with a keylogger. So these kind of pop-ups are also very dangerous. So when you have a real-time antivirus that actually also monitors your browsing behavior, will monitor and block these attempts. I think, yeah, years ago, when iPhone started having locks, people started jailbreaking or rooting their phones. And even today, for Android phones, iPhone not that much anymore. There are alternative options to your operation system. You can remove the bloatware, and people put this on, and they put free app stores on, not knowing who actually made the app store and what apps are you downloading. If you download an app directly to your phone from a Google Play Store or from an iPhone store, these apps been vetted that they're clean and not damaging or stealing any information. A lot of companies bypassing these by saying, hey, you want my app? You can go to my website, click on it, and then you get a pop-up on your phone, and you can still download it, and you can enable on your phone, allow apps from unknown sources. If they give you a pop-up on your phone saying, hey, this app is not secure, please enable that, you want to allow it. So you do that, but you have no idea what you actually put on your phone. And then phones can be hacked. Apple computers and Microsoft computers can be hacked. A lot of people always ask me, does Apple get viruses? The answer is yes. Maybe not as many as Windows, because Windows obviously has 95% of all the businesses in the world work with Windows. So if you want to do a hacking attack, you target the big guy, not the small percentage. But Apple gets viruses like everybody else. When it comes to social media shares, I always ask people to do the following thing. When you're on your phone and you reshare on Instagram, hey, Facebook, Instagram, whoever upgraded their policies right now, share this, blah, blah, blah. So just tap the menu button on your phone, swipe over, and open the browser and see if it's a scam. Because a lot of times I see people, even in my network, sharing all these information, and a week later or 3-4 days later, they tell me, oh yeah, my account got hacked, because this is how you spread viruses. Pictures like, oh, this girl is fighting cancer, share, and I think she deserves 1 million likes. Why are you sharing things when you do not know the source of it? Why are you accepting things? You do not know from your friends in your friends list what their IT security looks like. You don't know if they have viruses, if their account got hacked, if it really was them. So I can only advise, before you reshare something or you open something that comes from a source that you know, verify that the source is safe. This is my favorite part, where we're coming to social media shares. I think probably the most common one right now is the messages from Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp. So WhatsApp was 2 weeks ago forced by the European Court to give out their code. So the rumor that you can't listen to anything anymore is not there anymore. Anything done and sent and spoken over WhatsApp can now be read and listened to. It does not only goes to Facebook, it also goes to everything, to the government. If they want to listen to, they can see it, which is okay if you do nothing illegal. But on the other hand, I'm also a person that I think my private life should be private. So I wouldn't send anything over any of these apps that I wouldn't show a person on a bus. So because a lot of my public speeches, people ask me the same questions. Women usually have always a friend of a friend that has nude pictures, and they ask me if it's safe to have them in the cloud. Medias is usually men's. Men are actually very concerned about their video collection. So either or, I wouldn't put anything anywhere on these apps as long as it's very confidential. I would not put it there. Only stuff that is, I would say, average. When it comes to Tinder and dating apps, that's my favorite part, actually. So when I give speeches, it's funny, I ask the audience who knows Tinder, and everybody's like, oh, I know Tinder. When I said, who in this audience is using Tinder, they're like, oh, not me, nobody. So nobody uses Tinder or any dating apps. The interesting part is actually, and that's what most of the people don't read, because we all install it, add it. And so on any dating app, I tested probably 100 dating apps. Most of the dating app servers are in China, mainly in Hong Kong. So if you sign in with your Facebook account, you actually grant Tinder, AKA Facebook, the rights to everything on your phone. That means all your pictures, including if you do have maybe nude pictures, who knows, all your contacts, access to your camera, your microphone, literally your entire life is granted to. So now if you're the CEO of a bank, a famous bank, right? And you have a nude picture, you grant Tinder the right to print this picture on a billboard and utilize it for their advertising. And if you lose your job because of that picture, you agree to it. And then the second part is they streaming all the information out of your phone. Once you uninstall Tinder, the access stays on your phone. So we had a phone that actually has Tinder removed, and we had 1.5 gigabyte data traffic to Facebook. So when you go into your phone, into Facebook, your settings, apps using my account, the apps that you grant access to are still in there. Even if you uninstall the app, you do not remove the access to your phone. You have to do this separately. So I don't know what kind of data Facebook needed to download from this phone, but they literally downloaded everything on this phone to the account, even if Tinder was removed. So the second part, and this is where it comes to a very serious topic. Last year, in the United States alone, I don't know the global numbers, 460,000 women and girls have been abused, got into child trafficking, etc., etc. So when you post something on social media, these phones have high resolution cameras. You cannot open these pictures only on the phone. You can also open them on a tablet and a computer, and you can zoom in. That means when you do a selfie and you have your computer open, I might even see what is in there. If you have your ID, your business card, I might see who you are. Everybody likes to have a million followers and likes to be famous on social media. When I give speeches for universities, I get these young girls onto school. A 16-year-old girl that is half naked gets 6,000 likes. Somebody who speaks about a serious topic gets 50 likes. So I asked these girls, do you want to have a lot of followers? They say yes. I said, how do you feel speaking to me right now? She said, oh, fine. I said, do you know what is personal space? It's basically the distance between your hand and your face. People should talk to you from that distance. So the moment she starts answering, I feel okay, or whatever she said, I step forwards to her into her face like this. And I said, how about now? And most of them don't feel comfortable. And then I asked him a very simple question. How do you feel if only 2 of the followers of your million followers you just wanted following you home at night? So be careful who you want to have follow. I'm not saying don't use social media. I said be aware what you post. If you send somebody money, in the United States and Europe, it's a legal transaction that says if I venue you money, you will actually get I will get your first name, your last name, your email address, and probably your location up to like, what is it, like 100-meter circle. So be aware what information you sell. That if you want to check into a place, fine. Post the next day when you're not there anymore, so you don't create a blueprint that I know where you're residing, where you live, when you go out. So be safe and be aware, what are you posting? Why privacy screens? So while I'm in in cybersecurity, the privacy screens themselves have not been improved for 15 years. The original privacy screen was done by 3M, the microlouver material, but it was it. So what we do right now, I'm using the same thing as well. We made these things magnetic. This is actually metallized. So the computers that you're using have magnets on top of the screen. So we actually metallize PU, and you can put them in, and you can actually open and close the camera. And I mean, these things have a blue light filter. They're 100% flexible, and they don't damage anything on your computers. And same thing that we do with the phones. This is the first color changing privacy screen in the world. We make them in black. You can take them off, you can wash them, you put them back on. They never crack. It protects your eyes, no fingerprints. And it's like tempered glass, but it's silicon based, so it doesn't break. So why should you use them? That's actually very simple. These are a couple real life scenarios that I was asked to record when I give speeches for Microsoft. So this top left picture obviously is our products. This here is on a plane. A gentleman is connected to Wi-Fi on a plane. And what do we do when our signal is not great in a building? We go like we're searching for gold, right? We're searching for signal. So in 10,000 meters, this gentleman thought because his phone connection is slow, he puts his phone to the window to get a better signal. So he opens his online banking, he types in his username and his password. So, and I was seeing everything. With a privacy screen, you couldn't see that. This one here is a woman that actually in the top right corner does chase online banking on the plane. She opens a Word document on her phone. You can see she has glass on it, but she doesn't have a privacy screen. She opens the Word document called the password list that we probably everybody has. And I could see all her passwords for Chase banking. On the bottom right is a gentleman that went into a Microsoft store, signed in into his Facebook account, did whatever he has to do on Facebook, and he walked away. Without logging out. So if I would be a mean person, I could actually unfriend everybody, write evil messages, or even just steal his account and log him out. The person next to me on the plane here, if I would play this video in slow motion, I could see her keystrokes, credit card on the table, and her bookings. So it's interesting what you can see when you're sitting next to people on a plane and what they actually see on your phone and the information I can gather. The number one statement that I get from people is, oh, I have nothing to steal. Right. Okay, you have no money, so nobody can do anything. How about I steal your identity, I steal your reputation, or even worse, maybe I social engineer your life and you have a beautiful daughter. So we all have something valuable to lose, and we have to protect privacy because everybody gets these technologies in their hands, but it doesn't come with a manual anymore. I opened on my Instagram maybe a month ago a package from Windows 95 or Windows NT from 1993. And believe it or not, the original packaging came with a book, how to use Windows and how to set it up correctly. So these informations do not exist anymore when you get a phone. Most of the people have no clue what the phone actually does in the background besides the apps that we're using, right? So out of this perspective, we have to educate ourselves how to use technology and how to keep us safe. So now, I'm going into wireless and passwords. Most of the people have their wireless set up by their provider. But if you set up your own passwords and your own Wi-Fi, do not use your phone number or your first name, last name, or my password. Anything that is only letters and numbers and like 1, 2, Peter, it's easy to hack. There are programs that are called wireless sniffers. Like right now, when we all speaking where we are, like little packages flying left and right, these packages can be captured because a phone, a laptop, a tablet has an antenna built in. The antenna can not only send, also receive. So we can actually sit there outside the building. And if you have a weak encryption, a wireless sniffer can capture a lot of packages and put the stuff back together. And you are able to gain access to the Wi-Fi. Once I'm on the Wi-Fi, a lot of small businesses, people working from home have shares. And they share everything on the network and they click share to everybody because it's easier to share to everybody. So once it's shared to everybody, everybody on the network can access your data. Even people that gain access to your network illegally can have access to your data. So what should you do when you actually set up your own Wi-Fi? You should have WPA2. That is the latest version that should be set up. And you should have a strong password with high-end encryption. You can make any kind of password, but not like the 1-2 password I showed here, because the 1-2 password is created originally by Microsoft. So it's part of a dictionary. When people do hacking attacks or brute force attacks, they use something that's called the dictionary attack. It's like similar to all the words in the dictionary plus combinations of numbers, 1, 2, my birthday, whatever. And they're hitting up to 1,000 times per hour or minute, whatever the value is, your router, your website, your whatever account, and see which combination works, like first name, last name, birth date, stuff like that. So make up words, and the question is how to save your passwords. People ask me, online password storage, is it safe? Should I save it on a browser? It is safe if you use safe passwords. Companies that do store passwords online also have been hacked. The other part is the misbelief that when you create a password on your computer, that your computer is locked. It's not. So if you will own a MacBook and you have a password, but it's like 1234 Peter. If I steal your MacBook, all I need to do is turn on your MacBook, press Command and R, go into recovery mode, open the terminal, type reset password. It pops up a picture saying which user account. I will take your user account and make the password 13345, restart the computer, and I can log onto your account. So now I'm in your account. I have access to your keychain where you have all passwords in there, or maybe to your Chrome or Safari saved passwords. So the passwords are in there as well, right? But you can use your MacBook, same as a Windows computer, and you can block the access from booting with a password. So before I can actually go into the recovery mode or the BIOS on a computer, I need to have a password. So you protect that. Before I can actively access your browser password store, you can save it, secure it with a password. So utilize passwords that you can secure your IT devices with. So the question is, how do I save my passwords, right? Do I buy a book that says my passwords, which I have seen? No, obviously not. You can create something. Let's say you have your phone, create a contact that only you know, let's say Peter's mom. In the notes of Peter's mom, you can save some passwords, create a couple of accounts for different things, and save the passwords in there, but do not write a Word document, put it on your computer and name it password list, because the first thing people look for is password list when somebody steals your data. So now we're going to the wireless sniffers, pocket scanners, and stuff like that. What is a wireless sniffer? A wireless sniffer, or these programs, even a wireless detector, is a program that you can run on any electronic device, because these days smartphones are as powerful as a big computer. You can stand outside any building and you can utilize your laptop, and it shows you every single Wi-Fi available. It shows you the frequency of the Wi-Fi, the signal strength, and even the device name and the model of the device that is broadcasting the signal. Meaning, if it will show you like a Cisco and then it shows you all links and a model number, I can just Google it and I check the default passwords, or I try sniffing the wireless passwords. So these kind of information should always be safe. When it comes to file sharing, Microsoft and Apple disabled a couple protocols in their latest updates last year, beginning of this year. So when you upload stuff to your company, you cannot just use an FTP client anymore. It's blocked. So you have to use a secure FTP client. The same thing is if you use a web client, it needs to be HTTPS. So while you're doing uploads and you're in an environment like a coffee place and a hotel, always use VPN. I can only stress this enough because most of the people do not use VPN. When it comes to network scanners, I give you another perfect example for social engineering. I was sitting in a coffee place. I connected to the Wi-Fi on the coffee place and I run a network scanner. On this network scanner, I found two devices. One was called Ekaterina's iPhone. The other one was Ekaterina's iPad. So Ekaterina was written in the way that it is used in a Russian language. So by looking around, I saw a woman that had an iPhone and an iPad on the table, and she was blonde. She was the only blonde person in the entire store. So I said, hey, excuse me, may I ask you something? She said, sure. I said, may I ask where you're from? Because you're the only blonde person here, and you remind me on the Tsar. It's like a royalty person, Katarina the Great. And she said, oh my God, my name is Katarina. I said, no way, that's amazing. I said, wow, I like your iPad and your iPhone. It's a nice color. So I literally triggered every single button on her emotions that I actually saw. I noticed the necklace that she's wearing. So I was like, hey, it's a beautiful necklace. So the person was trusting me right away, and we had a great conversation, but she has no idea that she actually gave all the information away by just having her name on the iPhone and iPad that she was using. So I knew more about her that she actually gave out before she actually knew that I know her name already. So network scanners enable me to see your device's name. I see your IP address, and I can, when I have your IP address, I can use other programs that I can actually capture every single traffic going to your device. Whatever you send and whatever you receive, I can capture it. What do you do when you get infected? That's the big $1 million question. We had clients that people by nature do not like to get in trouble. Nobody does, even me. So what are you going to do? We had clients that were like, oh crap, I download a virus, I turn off the screen and I come back on Monday. What happened? 80% of all the company's data got actually encrypted. So if you do have your own IT staff, great. The first thing you do is literally unplug the network cable and turn off the computer. If you have no options anymore to get to the menu, unplug the power cord. Most of the encryption viruses that are out there are running under your account. So if you switch the user or your IT guy, whoever switches the user, he might be able in safe mode to troubleshoot it and remove the virus. But time is essential when it comes to certain infections, because the longer you wait, the more get encrypted. And in the United States right now, we released a law last month because I think soon it's going to be a global law. In January this year, I was working with law enforcement on this big hack where the biggest corporations got hacked worldwide by Sukanobis, and people paid ransom, lot of ransom to Russia. And I know it was Russia because I was talking to them. And so this money is either used for other cyber crimes or for terrorism. So now it is illegal. If you get hacked and you want to buy your data back, it doesn't matter if it's your family pictures, your corporate data, you commit a federal crime because you're supporting terrorism. So in order to avoid this and not losing all your data, you need to have backups. We call it GFS, grandfather, father, son, meaning one data on the machine, one data on a backup, one data of a backup you pull once a month and put it to the side so it's not connected just in case something breaks. And you have somebody who you can talk to when you have a security breach. Have somebody's information before things happen, just in case. Get some IT company that is close to you, somebody you trust. Do your research just in case you have a doctor on stuff where you go to have your physics taken. Have somebody who can help you when you get hacked. Common hacking attacks. So interestingly enough, we all, when we small businesses, own our own website. So obviously I cannot see how many people raise their hand, but how many of you guys logging on every week to your website hosting company and upgrading your website plugins to make sure that whatever security exploits are there are actually up to date and closed? Most of the people don't. So random people will register on your website and see if they can insert codes, or if they find other exploits on your websites in order to gain access to your database, or see what merchants you use and see if they can get to your merchants company to change the payouts. And same of distributing software when you have your computer infected and your computer acts as a bot. A bot is an automated system that does what I want, but it's standing in your office. So if I create an entire army of bots, I have a lot of people forwarding, computer people forwarding my malware, spyware, whatever I put out there to others. So alternative apps and app stores, I spoke about that. Keep your apps up to date. 2 years ago, a coin wallet for Bitcoin was hacked because somebody did not update their app, and the app had a security issue. So this has been abused, and somebody stole in 10 minutes, 60 million US dollars. And once the transaction is done and the Bitcoin actually regenerates their code in 10 minutes, it's almost impossible to get it. Actually, it is impossible to get it. So I wish probably it was not me, the $60 million, but that's a lot of money for 10 minutes. So keep all your phones, tablets, and IT equipment in general up to date. And now we're coming to the question and answer part. So ask me anything IT related that you'd like to know, and I'm more than happy to answer your questions. And thank you so far.